Hello and welcome everybody, this is Gogs Gaming and we will be doing a list of top 10 changes or improvements that we hope will be in Zelda Wii U. And these are all changes and improvements and suggestions that we think are fairly realistic. They've been included in prior games, so we have reason to believe that Nintendo would hopefully include them in the upcoming Zelda Wii U game. And with that, let's jump right in to the list. Number one is dynamic environments, and by this we mean, we want the environments to change following completion of certain tasks. For example, if we look at Ocarina of Time, we look at the Kokiri Forest before and after the Forest Temple. When we're playing as adult Link, before the Forest Temple, there's all kinds of monsters and bad guys out there, but after we complete the Forest Temple, all of those are gone. And then if we look at Lake Hylia before and after completion of the Water Temple, before there's no water, and after we complete it, the water comes back. Probably even a better example would be in Majora's Mask, where we have Snowhead Mountain, and before we beat Snowhead Temple, which is the second temple in the game, the land is covered in snow, everyone's freezing, there's no food because, it's just chaos. And then, of course, once we beat Goat, the dungeon's boss, all of a sudden, it turns into spring, and many new things open up, aside from, the landscape being, more greener and more springy. There's the Goron race that you can only do in spring, and there's other items you can get only in spring. So those are just examples of dynamic environments, and we're hopeful that Zelda Wii U will have dynamic environments, because it's nice to see something change after you complete a certain task. Number two is dynamic NPCs and non-playable characters, and Majora's Mask probably had the best representation of this. One example is the Bomb Lady from that game, and as you all recall, the Bomb Lady enters North Clock Town at 12 a.m. on the first day, and she's carrying extra large bomb bags, and if you are in North Clock Town at that time, you witness Seikon attempting to steal the big bomb bags from the Bomb Lady. Now, depending on what you do, the outcome, things change. For example, if you prevent Seikon from stealing the bomb bag, then the Bomb Lady, of course, gives you the Blast Mask, but more importantly, the following day, you are able to purchase the bomb bag from the bomb store, because presumably, she was able to bring the bomb bag, in town without getting it stolen. However, if Seikon steals the bomb bag, then if you go to the bomb store the following day, there's no bomb bag available, or at least no large bomb bag available. So, that's an example where we have dynamic NPCs. Depending on what happens, the landscape changes. And I wouldn't be surprised, if we have dynamic NPCs in Zelda Wii U. In fact, we've seen already from some of the footage from the E3 2004 footage where the goats are moving as the little monster is chasing us, and from the Game Awards in December of 2004, we see the horses moving when Epona gets close to them. So I think this is a important improvement, and pretty hopeful that they'll have both of these. Number three is unique and clever dungeons, and I look at dungeons in three ways, or at least I see three different types of dungeons in Zelda games. One is your typical run-of-the-mill theme dungeons, your fire temple, your forest temple, your water temple, and of course they always have environments to go with that. Second, you have unique dungeons, which are, if you look at Oracle of Ages, the Mermaid's Cave, where you have to visit it both in the past and the present. You look at Ocarina of Time, kind of similar, where the Spirit Temple you visit as child and later as an adult. A Majora's Mask, where you have the Stone Tower Temple, and halfway through it's flipped. And then probably Skyward Sword I would also mention. In that game there's the Sand Ship and Lunari Mining Facility, both temples which have time shift stones, and you activate the time shift stone, and the temple changes its look. So that's what I mean by unique dungeons. So I'm hoping we get the themed, we're probably gonna get the themed dungeons, of course, but I'm hoping we can get a unique dungeon like the ones I mentioned, and then finally a backstory dungeon, and those are dungeons with really important backstories. Two that come to mind are Twilight Princess, Arbiter's Ground, where you have the story on Ganon's botched execution. I suppose you can also include Temple of Time in that game as well. And then in Ocarina of Time you have the Shadow Temple, where there's discussion about blood, greed, the Civil War, and so on. So hopefully we'll get all three types of dungeons, or especially the last two. Those are always neat. Number 4 would be trading sequences that yield meaningful items. Now, trading sequences have existed in Zelda games pretty much, I believe, since Link's Awakening, but probably the best example I have of a very meaningful item is the Big Oron Sword from Ocarina of Time. Big Oron Sword, of course, it's a very powerful sword. It does more damage than even the Master Sword. Of course, you do need the Master Sword to do the final blow at the very end of the game, but outside of that, the Big Oron Sword is very useful and very powerful, and that's an example of getting a very meaningful item from a trading sequence. Some games like Majora's Mask also have trading sequences where you have to trade the Moon's Tear with the title deed, and then in successive times you could change one title deed with another and gain hearts. Again, those are nice, but not as nice as a big item like a Big Oron Sword. Number 5 would be side quests. Hoping that there's extensive side quests like Majora's Mask, and that game just absolutely blew it away with side quests. You could when I play that game, I oftentimes focus more on the side quests than the main story. The main story almost becomes kind of an afterthought because you're so focused on getting all the little side quests. And then Wind Waker's, I thought was pretty good on that, point as well, where just a lot to explore, a ton of things to do. Not as filled up as Majora's Mask, of course, but it was good nonetheless. Number 6 is sense of adventurism, and by this, and this is somewhat tied to side quests also, but by this I mean, sense of adventurism, where you're really going and you're looking for things, and you're curious, and you're just searching all over, and I think Wind Waker was probably one of the better examples of this, where you were traversing the seas and going from one island to another little stop, and you never knew what was gonna be showing up. So that was great. And of course in Majora's Mask we also had lots of adventurism, and the one example of what I wouldn't do is Twilight Princess, which especially during the first I'd say third of the game, it was much more restrictive, and you had huge swaths of land, but just not a whole lot of content, not a whole lot of side quests, not a whole lot of Adventurism. I mean, you could, you know, if you did go and you know, seek out things to do, there just wasn't a whole lot out there. Just very empty compared to, you know, say Wind Waker or especially Majora's Mask. So that was number 6. Number 7, we're expecting some kind of a parallel world, and by this I mean, you know, in Twilight Princess, of course, we had the regular world versus the Twilight Realm, and you know, Ocarina we had the child versus the adult, and then, you know, Oracle of Ages you had the past and present, Oracle of Seasons you had the 4 seasons, Link to the Past and Link Between Worlds you had, you know, Hyrule and kind of the Dark World or Lorule, and you know, I would, if I had to guess, I would say Zelda Wii U will probably not have too extensive of a kind of a parallel world. I think it'll be more akin to Twilight Princess or even Skyward Sword with some of the Silent Realms. So I think more likely than not, because you know, the meat of the game, I think Nintendo really is focusing, it appears that they're focusing really on the vast overland, you know, the vast world. So I could see, you know, some kind of a parallel world, but nothing too crazy. And then number 8 is an open world, and of course I think we are pretty confident it's going to be an open world game. That's what Nintendo's been I would say advertising it as such, and hopefully it's not restrictive. If we remember Twilight Princess, you know, you had the first half or first third of the game with all the tiers you had to collect, just very restrictive. Ocarina and Majora's Mask, I think, even though they had areas that were closed off, that was still fine, because you know, the overworld was for the most part open. But yeah, hopefully it'll be a nice open world, kind of like Link Between Worlds, or even the original Zelda, which wouldn't be surprising. Number 9 is traveling, and more specifically is whether there will be teleporting. Of course, there's been different ways, you know, in Ocarina, you had the Ocarina to go to different temples. In Majora's Mask, you had the Owl Song of Soaring. In Twilight Princess, you had the, you know, warp as a wolf, basically. So it'll be interesting to see what kind of warping mechanism or teleporting mechanism there will be. And I wouldn't be surprised if there's boats involved too. Lots of water areas in the game from the videos. And finally, number 10 is the Miscellaneous, and these are kind of miscellaneous items that I hope are or aren't included. For example, I really hope there's no renting or buying items like in A Link Between Worlds. That just, you know, felt cheap, and there's no sense of accomplishment, you know. Number 2, you know, I would say a crafting collection of items to increase, let's say, sword's intensity or shield, kind of like Skyward Sword. I would welcome that. And finally, I wouldn't be surprised if there's a day-night aspect like there's been in the prior games. You know, you have Ocarina, you have Skyward Sword, Twilight Princess, all of them had day-night aspects, so that'll be interesting, and whether there'll be any sleeping over and so on. And also potentially seasons too. It'll all be interesting. So that's my top 10 list. Hopefully you guys enjoyed it, and please, as always, subscribe to my gaming channel, Gogs Gaming, and hit that like button. And for other top 10s, please let me know. You know, if you'd like to see a top 10, you know, top 10 Zelda games or top 10 dungeons or whatnot. You know. Alright guys, thank you very much, and hope you guys have a great day. Take care.